Welcome to Gabbin with Gavin.
Gavin Clark is one of the co-owners of Vintage 905 and joins us. Hello, Gavin.
Gavin Clark has been selling vintage clothing in downtown Whitby for over 3 years.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to, this is going to be episode number 13 of the Gabbin with Gavin podcast. I got a special guest in studio today, joined by Brandon Williams. He is the lead singer and the songwriter of Chastity. Brandon, what's happening, man? How you doing?
What's happening? How are you?
I'm great, dude. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. I'm very excited to have you on. It's really cool to be joined by you because you are another Whitby, a local.
Yeah.
We don't get, a lot of the guests so far have been people from outside. It's really cool having somebody from the area join the podcast live, man.
Hell yeah.
So yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Let me ask you right off the top, what is being like from Whitby, like a small town? What does that kind of mean to you? Because you don't hear about a ton of Durham region artists. It's usually a lot more Toronto, the city.
Right.
Is it hard? Like, was it hard for you to kind of get on people's radars off the start? Just tell me about the experience of being a small town artist.
I think I've had the benefit of being sort of an internet artist. Mm-hmm. You know, you can kind of be from wherever. And Whitby, I think you do sort of swim upstream here in ways. It's a bit of the culture here, I think, right? You've experienced is like very sports, and there's a lot of that and a lot of support for that. But yeah, I think it was fine overall growing up, but it probably influenced me a lot to swim upstream and to be the kid with long hair or whatever it was, like growing up. And so I think it was fine overall. It was, you know, you get called whatever growing up.
Yes.
And I got called whatever, but it was kind of whatever. Like, so yeah, but Whitby, it's a funny case, right? Like there's no venue. There's no, like we're in downtown Whitby and there's, yeah, like there's nothing. So it is.
It never really has been.
Yeah. To my knowledge, at least. Yeah. Like even bar shows or whatever, I've never heard. I mean, there's like the Legion. I've heard shows happened there, but I've never been to a Legion show growing up or anything. So yeah, it's an interesting town. It's a bit sad, I think, for some. Like, yeah, I think it's fine. People are living.
Yep.
People are living here. I think I just feel like I wonder if people are, like groups of people are left behind.
Absolutely.
You know, and if they can find each other, like these. You get what I mean? These all
absolutely.
black wearing, like clothes wearing people.
you specifically mentioned swimming upstream, and that's kind of, if it's not easy to swim upstream, it, like by definition, right? And some people will get caught in that and like have a hard time standing out. I think that is something in a small city like you can kind of get lost in, and that's why when you see somebody like yourself who breaks away and succeeds, like it really is a special standout. Like it's cool to see someone from the city. But yeah, like you're saying, like people can get trapped almost. And the challenges that like you overcome if you can't overcome them. Like, yeah, right. It's kind of a theme of your music.
Yeah.
The idea of being lost in.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And I think that is just, it's been my experience or whatever. So it's just kind of real. But like I said, though, it's like anyone with the sort of portal into the internet, you can see the world from the internet. Yes. You know, it's so like that was my, like the music it's like escapism, right? Ultimately, like there's a lot of escapism, and I think the internet was that for me. It's like you don't need to do, you can if you want, but you don't need to do LSD anymore. Just throw on YouTube and you can be anywhere in the world.
Yes. Yes.
So it's, and I was finding bands like that. I was finding visual influences like that. I was finding these people all over the world, growing up and just via the internet,
As much as you can, the internet, of course, you can get anything out there. Do you think that maybe people could see Chastity, Whitby, and say, what's Whitby? Even though, you still can put your music out there. Is that still a challenge being a small town? Like, there's kind of almost like a bad association with small towns, and people think, artists and creatives don't come from there. So even though you can use the internet, it's still a challenge?
Yeah, I get what you mean. I think I've wanted to subvert I've seen Whitby projects put Toronto in their bio, and I'm like, I think I wanted to just rep it, because I think there are those few kids, you get what I mean? That wear all black. I saw a few today being here, and I was like, yo. So I just remember it being meaningful seeing Chaos rep Whitby. I thought that was amazing, and I think I got it from that a bit, that I'm not from Toronto. Mm-hmm. I wasn't born in Toronto. I wasn't raised in Toronto. I've been there a lot. It's a train ride away, but I'm from Whitby. So I thought it's a pretty simple thing just to not rep Toronto.
Yeah, definitely. I think that that kind of is something that comes across in your music, but you as well, is just authenticity. Like you were saying, people who are from Whitby or whatever outskirt saying Toronto because it's easier or it's cooler. I find today there's a lot of people who, this is very general, of course, but there's a lot of people who everything's kind of for views or whatever, it's just people make stuff for people to easily take in, as where you come across as a very genuine artist. I feel like even if you have 100 people listening or you had 100,000, your message would be whatever you're feeling, trying to put out. And it's not even really a question; it's just more of a compliment.
Yeah, appreciate it.
But and it's, do you find is that hard for you, or is that just what you would be doing, just staying authentic to yourself? And because sorry, let me tie it into a question.
Yeah,
as you're gaining more success, and there's more label pressure or stuff like that, do you find it harder to keep everything true to your message? And what is kind of the message that you want to get out there with your music?
I think it does change, and I think the last record was a very political kind of sharp record, and the one before that, the first record, was all about death and just thinking about dying and choosing not to in the end. And so I think the message, there isn't a total common thread through each song, but no, it is important. I think it's a shared value, I hope, with anyone I work with, that I am authentic, because I also think people can see right through it. I think on the internet, it would raise flags if it wasn't genuine and if it wasn't authentic. I think you can just see it. And
Absolutely.
So it was I just need to get back to this. This is what it boils down to. This is what I'm interested in. This is where I'm from. This is how I'm feeling. It's just pretty fundamental stuff to me. And so it's, and I don't have to, there is some imagination that goes in, and there's some character and whatever that goes into the records are sort of conceptual in a way. And so, there's some imagination, but I think it's still genuine. I think it still exhibits the
genuine
outskirt.
turned up.
Yeah, exactly. That's well put. So it's it's there's no common huge message, but I think it's just singing the neighborhood song, it's and it's this neighborhood. And there's a lot of these neighborhoods around the world,
Absolutely.
you know? So it's like, there's a lot of then like skid kids that are like, okay, true. I get it or whatever. And I kind of like feel that way too, maybe, or whatever. In the same way that I felt whoever growing up refused and My Chemical Romance or whatever. Like there were a ton of bands where I was like, yo, I feel that. Yeah.
That's got to be an amazing feeling knowing that you're influencing a whole new, generation of, like you said, skid kids, people who are, are marginalized or like outside and don't have those sort of bands or whatever to look up to, and like your words and your themes and all that's touching them. That's got to be pretty amazing.
I mean, even if there's one kid or whatever that it resonates, and I think the effect for me was that I felt less alone by hearing someone sing how they were feeling, and I was like, dang, I feel that way too. I didn't know how to say it, and I didn't know there was anyone else or whatever. So I think that's the fulfillment potential or whatever that might be happening or might happen or whatever.
Incredible.
So,
well, that's incredible. It's been 5 years for Chastity now.
yeah.
It's okay. So that's a pretty incredible rise, right? You started from burning CDs and handing them out, and before the world went crazy here,
Yeah.
you were touring the world at the end. It's a pretty incredible journey, and like what have you learned along the way? How have you changed from an artist starting out, pressing your own CDs, giving them to anybody who would listen, to really like to having people who are amazing in the industry and people like that you look up to enjoy your work and give it a lot and give it credit and praise it? And how have you changed over these 5 years?
Wow. It's been a trippy kind of time, but it's like started in Whitby. I kind of picture it starting with, there was a video we put out for the song Manning Hill, which is like on the original demo, and it's just like it starts with a kid skating by this
That's an
house,
awesome video.
and we are just playing in this driveway and whatever, and I kind of just feel that way still. And if I could just make that video 10 times, I would have by now, like, because it's just kind of like all encompassing.
You should go to church.
But have I learned? I mean, I think I've learned gratitude. I think I've been stunned by a lot of the support along the way, and I still am. Like, yeah, some of these texts I get when I'm just like pacing around the house as though I'm like texting a new girl or something. I'm like, I don't
Like
know what to do with it. Yeah, I'm like so nervous. So I have no idea. Like, I think I've learned to be a bit wary of the industry a bit. They're so supportive when it's going well, and when I'm looking for support, I think I still struggle to find it from the industry, and I understand it's a money thing or whatever. So I think there's just some like values alignment when it's like, I want to get this vision and this mission across, and they're like, we want to move units.
Yes.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And I've come across some like cigar smoking, feet on the desk type, like New York types, to be honest. So I think I'm trying not to be jaded with that type of stuff and just understand that it's a values difference at times. I want the project to reach the kids who these songs are written for, but I don't, I and maybe I'd like to make a modest living, but I don't want to like kill the game or whatever. And I don't really care. Like, I want it to do well, you know, and I like in reaching those kids and as many as possible, to be honest. And if a fruit off that tree is money for these labels, then so be it. But I just got to align that maybe a bit more, because I'm just writing. I like writing hooks, you know, I do like writing. And if that equates with selling the music or something, then maybe I've learned to align that more. But I think it's a natural. I want to write choruses and whatever, and I want people to go like, true.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
What sort, like, for other bands, or I heard you do another interview where you mentioned you really like melodic rappers, even.
Yeah.
Like a Little Uzi or Future. Is that sort of someone you could see yourself, like maybe getting into those sort of melodies? Becoming a hip hop ghostwriter?
I wonder.
Start a Drake beef?
Yeah, nice. I wouldn't beef with Drake. He's pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, it would be fun. Like, it would be fun and maybe in the future or whatever. But I think those are just the most talented people out right now, to be honest. And they just happen to have like 808s and whatever and beats under them instead of, you know what I mean?
Definitely.
So, yeah, but I mean, yeah, I forget who I mentioned, but Young Thug, I think, is the best, like, of the last, like, there's a few that their sense of melody is just like way better.
And I was just gonna say, and just the different styles, like, the different flows, and that's something I noticed through your music too. Is like, you have a sound, definitely, but different singing styles. Like, you go from everything from like singing melodies to spoken word to very like heavy songs.
Yeah,
is that something you consciously do, or is it like, you know what I mean? Do you try to hit a few different style songs, or is it just what comes out, like what you're feeling?
Yeah, I don't know why. Like, it's not intentional or anything. On Death Lust, the vision for the first record was to go from, like, I forget how I used to put it, but basically chiller to not chill or whatever. And I wanted it to spin in this crescendo up into the most intense I could find. But I think the influences are just so, there's so many that I can't decide. And I think it's all my voice or whatever. So I hope that that's the common thing throughout. But yeah, I switch it up or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, the music does switch up.
Very cool.
But yeah.
Yeah, awesome, man. Something you touched on earlier, the music videos. I wanted to ask you, are you like, is it your concepts, like, from the beginning? Are you completely behind the videos? I mean,
it depends
I'm
on
sure
which.
it's not one person, right? But
yeah, my friend Justin Singer and I, like, often I'm like I just have these notes, and that's how I write lyrics too. I just like rip notes in my phone. If you were to say like an idiom or like some thing right now, I would want to remember it to steal it from you and put it in a song after.
Yeah.
So it's like, that happens with videos too. Like, I'll see someone bike by with the whatever, you know what I mean? And I'll be like, I want someone to bike by and for this to happen next and for whatever. So truthfully, I send Justin a ton of notes and stuff, and we kind of riff from there, and like, and what if this also happened, and what if we went here next? And we just click, and it's worked sick with the videos.
Absolutely.
and just we've rolled with these concepts, and I hope people have liked them or whatever.
no, I think you've got an amazing catalog of videos. Like, I'm not just saying that because you're here watching them. Like, there's the thing like I really enjoyed was, I'm gonna check my notes here real quick.
Yeah.
But for the videos, You had a couple like Children and Manning Hill. They were both kind of like higher production, big budget, and then there was Trepidation and Saliva, which were super simple.
Yeah.
But like you still got powerful messages across with everything, and like I think that's really cool that you're not just doing the exact same kind of video for every song, and it's like is that something that's intentional? Like are you trying to like be powerful with minimal imagery, and then like just tell me about the process, man, because the videos are so cool, and like sometimes they are just like a single camera shot, and it's still like, wow, that's a powerful message coming from this. Like, tell me, because like I love the videos is what I'm trying to say. Is what I'm rambling on about here.
No, I really appreciate you watching so many of them. And
Definitely.
Let me think. Like, so for Trepidation was like a sort of B side to the Die video, or Die for My Mind video. And so we had the person that played, the subject in the video, and I was like, I just want to like zoom in, and it appears as though she's crying. And then when the song switches and the lyric is "burn a little hole in my soul," I want her to just start hysterically laughing. And I don't know why I thought that would be cool. It was a few years ago now, but I think I haven't watched it in a minute, to be honest. But yeah, I wanted to just do a video for Trepidation that was a B-side then to Die, and she's wearing all the same stuff and whatever. It's the same feeling, but I just wanted it to evoke or provoke something, because I felt that way where I just switch. You get what I mean? Like where I could be crying and then I'm laughing hysterically. So I guess I just wanted to convey that. There's not, I'm trying to think videos that like tie back lyrically, sometimes more than others, but the You're Scary Now video was the only one that I wasn't there for. And that's where the two kids are walking down Crawford Street in Whitby. And
it's so cool to see the Whitby shots in some of the videos.
Sick, yeah. And that's important to me that, 90% of them I think have been shot in Whitby or around Durham or whatever. But that one, and this is like indicative of Whitby and just an illustration of Whitby, but my cousin got a bunch of people from Anderson to like form a circle, because that's how I experienced fights growing up. Like we would go up to the electrical tower and there would be a circle of people ready to rip. Absolutely. I'm ready to watch these two squirts like try to
free
fight.
Cell phones too.
Try to fight each other. So we set that scene up and whatever, and I was traveling. I was like playing shows at the time, and so but I guess someone called the cops, and those like all black like cop cars came. Like the SWAT team came for these kids that were fighting. Like that's such Durham Regional Police behavior. Like they're like, okay, let's get the SWAT to these. It's like grade 10s or whatever.
That'll show those 16-year-olds.
Yeah. So, but yeah, the videos, a lot of them have been shot in Whitby.
That's awesome. It is. I love seeing for somebody local, man, it's really cool to see you tie all that in. That actually, I have a quote about you that I actually think ties in perfect to that.
Okay.
I was reading a Pitchfork article. It was reviewing Death Lust.
Mm-hmm.
And they were talking about your love for your hometown and referring to Brandon Williams. His natural response to suburban life isn't to escape it, but to improve it. I think that's pretty awesome. I think that sums you up really well, man. Because you are always doing a lot for your hometown, for Whitby. And I'd like to talk about the barn shows. Because I think that's, like you've talked about how there's no proper venue for shows here.
Right.
And you literally had to just go and do it yourself. And can you tell me about those? Because those are legendary.
Yeah. I've written to the mayor and I've like tried to find grant money and stuff, and I've tried to like get her going for some sort of like all ages community arts, music space. And I think I was just like, all right, I'm not hearing back. Like, let's just do this. And so my friend Nick had property. He was like renting up just in Brooklyn area, just north of Whitby. It is Whitby, but and there was like this empty barn back there. And the first show we like rented a U-Haul and just cleared out a bunch of garbage and stuff that was in there, and like just hucked a bunch of like old couches and stuff into this big U-Haul for the show, and then emptied it all back after. But they were sick shows and extremely memorable. And kids, it's just like seeing these kids from this area come together potentially for the first time, and potentially people meeting each other. And it was just powerful in that way, I think. And that was what we set out to accomplish. And bands, notable bands that came through and ended up playing too, and Pup and Mets, and a bunch of bands that I love, like I'm such a fan of.
Amazing.
Like came through, and it was just like murmurs of this barn in Whitby. It came into this, it just again subverts the idea of Whitby, because I think even people's idea of Whitby, I think, is fairly potentially accurate, and it's not amazing. So, and that sucks, I think. So this barn thing, I think, flipped it on its head a bit, that there were shows happening in Whitby and it was in this barn, and Pup was playing and whatever else, So it's, they turned out well, like, and I miss it. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Hopefully that'll be, something to look forward to in the future.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's amazing, man. You mentioned some amazing bands there. Another like really cool show I wanted to talk to you about playing was Matty Fest.
Oh yeah.
Matty Matheson's festival. You guys were in a pretty amazing time slot there between like Wu-Tang Clan and like,
Yeah.
Tell me about that experience. Like, how did that come together? What was that day like? There was some pretty prominent people in the crowd.
Yeah. Yeah, it was crazy. Yeah, that would have been one of the last like Ontario shows, I'm pretty sure
Sad to
now.
think
So
of,
yeah, I have no idea how that came about. Like, just got an offer, I guess, but it was like, I didn't know we were in such a good time slot till I saw like Matty Matheson posted, and I was like, what? All right, sick,
Cool.
let's go. So we kind of got spoiled by that, I think, but it was a great show, and yeah, I was nervous. Just some of my, I've already said Pup and Matt, so I don't want to name drop too much, but some of my other heroes just like watching us. I'm just trying not to piss myself, like just like nervous, just and yeah, it was a great show. Good food and stuff.
That's
and
a very
it was
cool day.
Yeah,
Awesome, man. Yeah, I mean, yeah, can't wait to get live shows back, and
straight up.
you must be going crazy. Like the let's talk about the very last shows that you did.
Yeah.
This is a crazy experience. You were on a European tour,
Mm-hmm.
March 2020.
Yeah.
which as we all know is right when COVID took over the world.
Yeah.
It's funny. I saw you right before leaving, man, and I know we were talking about this just before coming on, and like I was so psyched for your tour, and everything seemed just awesome. You're psyched to go, and then just watching you guys, it was like a Resident Evil movie or
Yeah.
crazy. Tell us about that. Like,
Yeah, it felt like that for sure. It just felt like the world was sort of closing in on us in a way, like yeah, I guess when I saw you, we were supposed to be gone for 80 days or something, and we were about to rip, and I think we were gone for maybe 30. It was cut short anyways, but I mean, shows, if you remember, like Italy started closing like pretty quick, and we were touring in these like countries that bordered on Italy, but the world was still like, the world was like calling it a flu still. Like the world was, it was like, we were calling it coronavirus back then, not COVID, remember? And so we were like doing our best, I guess, to ignore it, which in retrospect was sketch. Like, but we got to Czech Republic and we were like, the country, they had people in like hazmat suits at the border and stuff. Like touring Europe, it's pretty like open borders. It feels like changing provinces. Like there's a big Quebec sign, but it's Belgium or whatever. So I don't know.
I've had friends who've gone to that. And I know that you take like the Euro Rail and like it is very designed to go in between country.
So there aren't really these hard borders, but slowly there became harder borders and whatever around these countries. And we played the show in Prague in Czech Republic, and we were on our way to Austria, and on our way to Austria found out the borders closed to outside countries. You guys can't get in, like literally an hour from the border. So we drove, I don't know, it just started falling off. And then there were murmurs of people at the venue in Portugal have tested positive for COVID. There's some COVID outbreaks at the venue. So it felt like, I think this is going to end pretty soon. And we played a show in Munich, Germany. It was our last show. And we found out that night, like, listen, we're going to get going home after tomorrow. We had this show in Switzerland anyways. We were just like ripping around, right? We're in Europe, like, and so we're driving that night to Switzerland after the Germany show, and my bandmates have those like news, like ding, like Tom Hanks has got coronavirus, and then like ding, like Trump shutting the border to America or to Europe or whatever. And so we were like, gotta go.
Yeah.
And so we ripped back to Paris where, it was just like, I'm just trying to, like, there's this map, right? And we were just like, shit, like,
frantic.
We gotta go. Yeah. And so we ripped back, and it was a crazy, I'd say about a week just on edge, like, because it's an investment going to Europe, like, and there's also money to be made or whatever, and there's the merch is printed, it's like, so it's like, and we didn't understand, I don't think, the total health risk back then and what was about to happen.
Nobody did.
So
right?
So it was like, gotta go.
Man, it's funny. I remember we actually had a comedy show we booked for in the store, and that was supposed to be March 28th or something like that.
Wow.
And everything shut down the 16th or whatever.
Oh yeah.
And I remember like me and Mike, the other guy owning the store here, we were like, like we'll run. I remember we were like, we'll do our show.
Yeah.
Like we're going home for like 2-3 days, then everything will blow over.
Yeah.
And then cause I remember it was less than 2 weeks, and I thought 100% like we'll be running. And then everything just got so crazy. I remember the Tom Hanks day was
Yes.
I took a nap that day, I remember. And then I woke up, the NBA was canceled, and Tom Hanks had it.
Exactly.
And I was like, oh, this is
It's
serious
getting
now.
real. Yeah. I remember like South by Southwest getting canceled.
Uh-huh.
And then it was like, okay, something's going on here. Like where there's money involved and these people are passing on that money or whatever. I was like, okay, something's up.
Yes.
So, yeah.
What a crazy time to be on the other side of the world.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, it was nuts. It was.
Yeah, because I remember seeing the video specifically on your Instagram where you guys had to drive and the guys all had the hazmat suits and were scanning you. And
Yeah, that
like,
was
on our way to play a show.
Yeah, yeah, and we got there, and and funny enough, that was on our way to Prague, and the person that was like gracious enough, in Europe often you can stay at the venue, like there's accommodations and it's sweet and nice and they feed you and whatever above the venue usually, and we were staying there, and there were some people at the venue anyways after we found out after that they had gotten COVID and stuff. So it was like the storm was really chasing us, and it was a bad time to be touring. It turns out, like
Yeah.
a terrible time to be touring, and Europe was kind of red hot with it, you know.
Yep.
So
Yeah. What? Jeez. Well, I'm glad you guys made it back, and
I appreciate it.
absolutely. Hopefully, was that? Had you done a Europe tour?
We had,
Yeah,
yeah.
but-
But this was the sickest one.
That looked amazing. Like, yeah, you guys are going to some amazing places. and
Yeah.
Hopefully, you can get back over there.
I
What's your favorite place you've traveled to? I love
Wow.
asking this question to people who have got to travel.
Yeah, wow. I love playing in Germany. Our experience playing, like Germans love like distortion or
Yeah.
something. Like there's something about it that you like when you start giving her, they give her like,
Hell
and
yeah.
there's good feedback. I found at least. There have been a lot of cool, memorable places. England loves music. We've mostly, done North America, England, and Europe. Playing like parts of the States are quite fun, and I eat like a child, so being in the States is also fun because the fast food game is so strong in the States. So,
Tell me some favorites.
well, I mean, In-N-Out or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, have you ever had Cane's chicken fingers?
No.
Like, it's fire too. There's a lot. Like, we're like massive Chipotle heads. I know there's Chipotle up here now, but we're big Chipotle heads. And there's a trick. And I don't want to leak this too wide.
Yeah,
but,
we might have to edit this part out.
But you can call in. I call in. I say, hi, I manage this band from Canada called Chastity, playing New York tonight at Baby's All Right. Wondering if we could arrange for a few comps for the band tonight. And comps, I guess it's like complimentary meal or whatever. And sometimes they're like, what? No. But sometimes they're like, oh, okay. How many are, and we're like 5 or whatever, depending on how many people. And they're like, yeah, come through. And we get free Chipotle off this weird trick. I don't know why it works, but I'd say it works 25% of the time.
Here, let me ask you.
Yeah.
The 25% of the time compared to when it doesn't, what would you say is the secret? Like what hits? Like is it confidence? Is it what works?
There is some confidence, I think. I think like there's some, you gotta have this, like when I've got this bass to my voice, when I find this bass in my voice and they're like, cause sometimes they're like, who? And I'm like, Chastity. Like what's it to them or whatever. But yeah, I don't know. And sometimes it just comes down to we've met some cool managers or whatever.
Yeah,
like we've met some, like we get there and they're like, yo, you know what I mean? They know the band we're touring with or whatever, like, and they're down. So, and we've hooked people up with gear and like with merch and whatever and guest list and stuff. Yeah. So it can get fun, but sometimes it's just like, yeah, whatever, dude, come get free stuff. I've got these comps left for the day and come get them.
Cool.
Like, so just some sympathy for traveling Canadians or something.
Oh, yeah.
So, but America, it's funny. I kind of miss, I mean, the States is a mess of its own or whatever. And I kind of miss it, but
yeah, definitely. I mean, yeah, it'll be awesome when you can get back on the road. And I for all the artists and that, like I really feel for people who can't tour. And like you were saying, man, it's tough. T-shirts are printed and records are pressed that like you expect to sell. So anybody watching, support local artists, support, any way you can, any local shops. It means a lot to people, So
yeah,
get out there and do it, everybody.
Yeah. And support Vintage 905 too.
Hell yeah, thank you. I know you don't want to name drop, but like some crazy people have really come out and supported you. Like I know I saw a clip of Lars Ulrich from Metallica, even like he was giving praise to Chains.
Mm-hmm.
That is Chastity, and the song is changed from the mind of Brandon Williams from Whitby, Ontario, in Canada. That's a lot of fucking noise for one dude.
In this like journey from Chastity, what's like the moment where you've really had to like shake your head and say like, is this happening? Like is that like what's the crazy one? Like that one I saw that holy, like that's insane.
Yeah.
Sorry to put you on the spot. And
No,
ask you
no,
to
that
name
is
drop again. Like,
no. That was, of course, like I couldn't believe that. Like, and Alex, who I'm with today, or taking photos around Whitby and stuff. Like that whole crew, my crew in late elementary school, high school, they were sort of the brand of skids that were like on the Metallica, Pantera side of things, like Anthrax and whatever. So that Chastity's music is different than that or whatever, but there's some of that somewhere in there, I think, you know, because it's just what it's what the kids around me grew up on, you know, and so to hear that was nuts. I think the biggest, and again, I don't want to name drop or whatever, but I think for me, my first concert ever was an Alexis on Fire concert at the Cool House in Toronto. And I remember seeing Pulmonary Archery, their music video, like on Much Music. And there was this guy running around screaming in this big mansion. And it blew my mind, like to see that. It was like 3:30 probably watching this show, and Alexis on Fire comes on. And so Alexis on Fire means a great deal to me and has meant a great deal. So we were on tour. Our first record had just come out. I was driving, and forgive me, I checked my phone. We might have been stopped. I don't know, but I checked my phone and just saw like City in Color post like a screenshot of Death Lust listening to the song Children. I forget exactly what he said, but he's like, thank you for simultaneously like sounding fresh, but also sounding like I've got my Walkman on, you know, listening to your CD back in my halls of the high school or something like that. And I had to pull over. I remember pulling into a grocery store and being moved, like, and writing like, dang, dude, like, you were like, Alexis was my first concert, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, hey, full circle or whatever. But I was just like, whew. I think that for me was like a changing, just like nice.
It's a pretty amazing compliment.
It was for sure.
It's
and I
not
was
like it's not a few like fire emojis or, you know,
right.
That's a sincere.
I would have taken the fire emojis.
Of course.
I would have taken them.
That's a very sincere,
yeah.
You know,
yeah.
Amazing.
I know. So I was like extremely taken aback by that. And I think it's just encouraging, you know, it just like, it is a weird game. You do play light shows, like on the first record or whatever, on that tour. There weren't tons of people coming out necessarily. You know, it's a brand new it's sort of like early in the game for us, like touring and like road dogging like we were. So we played like New Orleans to very few people, you know, on that tour. So to have that, you get bummed, like the morale or whatever on tours like that. You're like psyched to be traveling. You're psyched that anyone has come out. But the reality is money is tight and you're sleeping on floors and whatever, and you're grinding. So I don't know if he knew that, you know, he like Alexis on Fire also road dogged and in the early days and whatever. But the like strength that he like sort of vaccinated into us, you know, was like pretty wild and pretty encouraging. So
that's incredible.
Yeah.
Man, that's so cool. It's funny. That's kind of where I wanted to go with it, because like obviously growing up around here, huge Alexis on Fire guy. And I always see Wade and a lot of the guys showing you love. And I think it's just really cool, man. It's cool to see people who you respect other artists who you think are really good. And it must mean a lot to get cosigns from people who are genuinely people you look up to. And
for sure.
It's awesome. Right?
I don't even know what to do with it, I don't think, because I'm just like, it's like, do I ask you about like deep cuts on your record? Can I punish you? You know what I mean? It's like, I'm just so careful. Again, it's like pacing the room, texting a new person, just like proofreading and whatever, drafting it in my notes, copy and paste it into the text conversation. But
Oh man. And any other Anderson High alumni? I know there's you and Chaos are got to be the two most famous. Is there anybody else that's come out of there that we've had a podcast guest on here actually that was a graduate.
oh, sweet.
Yeah, Justin Bruckman. He's a jiu-jitsu black belt and
Oh,
has a
sick.
gym. Yeah, he's another Anderson guy. And
Sick.
it's cool. It's cool to see all these local
Yeah.
guys in.
Yeah.
Anybody else that you know that came from there?
Like AJ Cook from Virgin Suicides.
Okay, cool.
One of the people in Virgin Suicides. There's Protest the Hero.
Yep.
There's a teacher that taught at Anderson, Mrs. Rogers, and I think she just sort of had an eye for delinquency maybe, and just sort of channeled, at least in me, sort of channeled this unfocused, uninspired, like unmotivated person, and just sort of like tried drama class on me and tried to challenge us, gave us challenging roles maybe, and gave us, at least in my experience, like gave us opportunity, you know, to pursue something within high school where we might not have felt like we've applied ourselves. And if I know that Kevin, for example, had Mrs. Rogers and shouts her out as well. And so there's, I just shout out Mrs. Rogers.
Honestly.
I think there's something, I don't think there's something in the water at Anderson. I think there's just,
Some great
there was
people.
Mrs. Rogers and others, you know,
Yep.
there that like sort of helped on the swim upstream. So
Very
she's
cool.
just a legend, and yeah.
Yeah, shout out Miss Rogers.
Yeah.
Yeah, because if it wasn't for her, who knows? It's like she's definitely helped nurture some great music into the world. So that's very cool, and I think everybody owes her a little something of
Sweet.
that.
Yeah.
Very cool, man. That's amazing to hear, just people, positive influences like that. Because you hear so many bad stories, right, about teachers who just don't care or
Right.
whatever.
Oh yeah.
And it can make such a difference to, you know, somebody young who's trying to express themselves. And shout out Ms. Rogers.
Yeah. Miss Rogers rules.
I love it, man. Let's circle back on music a little bit here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to keep you too long. I know you guys got some plans and you gotta scoot in a bit. Yeah. But you have been working the last little bit on a new album.
Yeah.
It's the third in the trilogy.
Yeah.
What can you tell us about that? What kind of sounds? What can we expect? And how's the recording process been?
It's been good. Yeah. Have recorded like a lot more for this. On the last record, like we had like a tour to get to, like, and there was a deadline, like a pretty hard deadline that like we had to get this all done. I think we recorded 10 songs, and 10 songs are on the record. For this one, like 25 songs. I think we recorded 25 songs, and 10 are going to be on the record. So it's just kind of more refined. It's cool. We just had the benefit of time, you know, and there was just nothing else to do, really. It's like, how many more times can we watch Breaking Bad? Like, it's like, let's get to work and I have these lyrics, like, you know, burning in my phone mostly, that it was like, hey, let's get ripping on this. So recorded at the same place, this place called Sugar Shack in London, Ontario. And it turned out, I think it's, we'll let people decide, but I quite like it.
Awesome.
It just got mastered. The artwork's done and whatever. It's ready to rip. And now it's just figuring out the timing of the world. We've just been waiting for the world to get back, you know. So we'll see when it comes out. I hope soon enough or whatever, but it's done.
Awesome. Well, congratulations.
Thank you.
It'll be nice
Thanks.
to put a trilogy to rest, right? Like,
Yeah.
The big conclusion, man. That's amazing. You should be very proud of your catalog, and I'm really looking forward to hearing the new album.
Thank you.
That'll be awesome.
Appreciate it.
Is Breaking Bad the best TV show of all time?
Oh, I wonder.
In your opinion, let's just so we don't get crushed by any comments or
Yeah,
anything.
yeah.
In your opinion, is it? Let's not even say best. Is it your favorite?
I gotta say, I'm also a child with like my attention span and how much TV I watch, to be honest. So I don't have like a totally like refined palette to speak to like the best. Like I'm sure I've seen some episodes of Seinfeld that are good, whatever. You know, people love saying Seinfeld is the best, and I have no idea. Like I've watched it twice or whatever, and I thought it was good, but I'm trying to think of what else would be up there. You like Breaking Bad?
I love Breaking Bad.
Yeah.
Did you get into Sopranos?
Yeah, I started it. I started it on COVID, and then I had recording dates, and it cut it off, I think. So
Okay,
I've got to
that's
get
fair.
back into
Okay.
it. Yeah, people love Sopranos though.
Love it.
So
That's my all time.
it's your favorite?
Yes.
Sweet.
Yeah,
Yeah, I gotta
far
finish
away.
it. I
I guess if you're recording, that's an appropriate
But
reason to.
I'll get back to it.
Awesome, man. We'll have you back in the studio, and once you
Sick.
finish, and we'll get your opinion.
Sick for
Awesome.
sure.
That'll be part 2.
Wicked.
Awesome, man. Brandon, this has been a ton of fun, man. Well, let me ask you. Let's close out here. Big question. In your career now, you've got your 3rd album coming. We've talked about like some crazy tours you've done. Some of the people that have co-signed and endorsed your music. You've done all these awesome things. Like I meant to bring this up too during your barn shows. Not only have you like provided a place for people to come together and do all the awesome stuff we've been talking about, you also raise money for charity during that. Like it's really cool, man. I love seeing all the awesome, like you're very outspoken for social changes, and even in your music and just yourself. And what I'm trying to ask, man, all this awesome stuff you've done, what are you most proud of? Like, what do you, when you sit back at the end of the day and you take it all in, what sort of things like are you really happy about in your career?
Wow. Yeah, that is a big question. Yeah, I think I'd say the barn shows, and just like there's a place in Oshawa called Frontenac Youth Services, and just being able to just seeing, I think, the community coming together like that for other parts of the community that are potentially negatively impacted by the greater community. I think that it's just like an easy cause that everyone, I think, is down with, and everyone that went to the barn, a lot of it was like pay what you can, and people paid what they could. They truly actually like came through, and we were able to, throw that money to Frontenac Youth Services. So I think that is definitely among it.
Very cool.
But I think I also just am like sort of blinded by aspiration, I think, and I do want more to happen in Whitby. I think it's got to, and I think it's just like too culturally advantageous for the town to have a space, and they're missing it, and they just need to see, like, if the mayor would email us back, and there have been others that have tried and whatever, it's like if a few people can potentially get a space and have some sort of plan and some sort of proof of concept, I think I hope that the proudest, especially like Whitby moments, are still to come, and that there can be a space opened up here, and that it changes the town, and it changes it for these kids that don't necessarily want to go, and bless it or whatever, but don't necessarily want to go to the hockey arena, or don't necessarily feel like that's their space that they belong in necessarily. So there's got to be an alternate space,
Absolutely.
in Whitby. So I think it's still to come, but I hope anyway.
That's awesome, man. I think you've absolutely done a lot of great things for the city already. And I think that's awesome that with all the stuff you've got going on, that's your big goal is still to just keep helping out other people.
I really appreciate you saying, and man, thank you for having me on.
Yeah, man,
here.
I really appreciate you taking the time. It's been awesome. Brandon Williams, Chastity. This has been episode 13, Gavin with Gavin. We'll throw up all your socials and everything.
Sweet.
Go check them out. Third album's coming out soon. More info. We'll have a title, everything dropping soon.
I hope so.
Hope so.
Yeah. I hope
Everybody,
so.
keep an eye on the page, and yeah, I can't thank you enough, man. This was a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Thank
It
you.
was a great interview.
Awesome, man. Thank you.
Thanks.
Thanks a lot. Take care, guys.
Take care.
Cool.